Hi everyone, my name is Ruth from Sunrise Well, and I am here today on behalf of Pinnacle Health Group to talk to you about managing your stress and anxiety. Coming up in this little workshop, we are going to be talking on a little bit of a quiz, just a fun little daily stresses quiz. Moving on to the deeper topic of stress and anxiety. We're going to talk about how stress and anxiety arise in the nervous system, the fight, flight, freeze response in the central nervous system. We're going to talk also on stress and anxiety related illnesses that can come up within your body. Then we're going to move on to the more positive side of things by talking about how to make friends with stress and anxiety and how to manage stress and anxiety within your life. So let's get started. So just to start with a little quiz here, what we have is this UK-based study of around 2,000 people where people were asked to rank the top 10 small stresses of everyday life. And as you can see in the list, we have things like not finding a parking spot, not being able to sleep, getting stuck in traffic, losing your keys, the kinds of things that happen to everyone and stress us out a little bit in our day-to-day lives. So I was wondering if you have a look through that list, if you could tell me which of these do you think would be the number one top stress for people in their daily lives? I'll give you a moment to think about it. Now, if you were thinking that maybe running out of toilet paper was the top daily stress, considering the current circumstances we're living in at the moment, you are probably close to being correct, but the top daily stress was not being able to sleep, with 46% of respondents choosing that as the number one daily stress that they have. So you might not be alone if you are having trouble getting to sleep at night, or if you're waking up during the night. This is quite a common stress for quite a number of people. So moving on, to thinking back over the last 24 hours, have you felt yourself getting stressed or anxious about things which are actually out of your control? Stress and anxiety. In honesty, stress and anxiety affects everyone in some way, shape or form at some point in their lives. And it is actually quite a normal part of our daily life to experience some level of stress and anxiety. In fact, 25% of Australians experience anxiety at any time. So if you are experiencing a little bit of anxiety or a bit more stress than usual, you are not alone. This is quite a common thing for most people to experience at some point. And some of the common triggers for people to experience this feeling of stress or anxiety, some of the big ones especially are financial stress. So many people have issues and worries around money, and this is quite common. Another issue is around family issues. So this is quite a broad term. So anything related to the family is somehow can cause stress and anxiety. Personal health worries and just maintaining personal health is also can be quite a stress-inducing issue. Another really big one, which I come across quite often, is balancing lifestyle. So we're looking at how people can balance their life with their work, their home life, their family life, getting enough exercise, getting into their hobbies and making sure that they're looking after their interests and their self-care and things like that. So balancing lifestyle is quite a big stress and anxiety trigger. And then another one is concerns around the health of others and people that are important to us. So you may find yourself resonating with one of these in the list or several of them in the list in terms of bringing on stress and anxiety within yourself as well. So how does stress come about? Stress really arises within the central nervous system of the body. And it follows a very typical pathway. When we are faced with a stress, the stress gets interpreted by the amygdala within our brain. So the amygdala is a small almond-shaped part of the brain that sits in the back in the limbic system. And the job of the amygdala is really to perceive the information that it receives and decide whether it is a threat to us. And from there, if it is a threat, if this stress is a problem for us, then it can activate the fight, flight, or freeze response in the sympathetic nervous system. So to go a little bit deeper there, we have two parts of our nervous system. We have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. These two work in tandem with each other, but they are never activated at the same time. So the sympathetic nervous system is the one which activates that fight, flight, and freeze response, and that is one which is activated in response to a stress or a threat to our safety. The parasympathetic nervous system is activated when we are feeling safe and we are feeling calm, and it enables our body to rest and digest. So the parasympathetic nervous system is quite a healthy state for our body to be in when there is no threat around us. So if we are feeling calm and comfortable, we really want the parasympathetic nervous system to be switched on, and that allows our body to process, to rest, to digest, and to really get the body into good balance and homeostasis. But when we are stressed, when we are under threat of some kind, the sympathetic nervous system switches on. And I'll talk a little bit more about why it is important for us to have the sympathetic nervous system switching on. I'll talk about that very soon. But basically, when the sympathetic nervous system does switch on, the body moves into a high alert state. So the heart rate increases, our breathing rate increases, the muscles tense up. It's like we're getting ready to go. We're getting ready to fight that threat, that stress, or we are getting ready to run away. And the blood flow gets diverted through the body. So the blood flow might be moved away from the digestive system and into the muscles and into the cardiac system so that we can be prepared to fight or run away, flee. So this is a way for us to be activated and ready to go under threat. Imagine if we have a tiger running after us. We're, in our evolution, we're thousands of years ago, we come across a tiger and we have to decide, are we going to fight the tiger because we have no other choice? Or are we going to run away from the tiger because we do have time? Or technically, there's also the freeze response, which is when the body just shuts down completely. This is less common. We are more likely to move into the fight-flight response, but the freeze response is also there. So if you think about an animal in the face of a tiger, sometimes animals freeze rather than running away or fighting. So this is what's available to us through the sympathetic nervous system. When the blood flow is diverted and the muscles tense up and the heart rate and breathing increases, we also have other physiological changes like digestive issues. So it's quite common for people to experience nausea, diarrhea, maybe constipation, as the digestive system gets shut down and the blood gets shunted away from it. Sweating and profuse sweating is quite common, and becoming quite dizzy is another response to the sympathetic nervous system activation. So the fight, flight, freeze response is actually an innate response and an inbuilt and adaptive response to a stressful situation. As I said before, if we are being chased or we are confronted with a saber-toothed tiger, we really need this to help us to work out what to do and to respond very quickly. So we need our body to jump into action for us and help us to get out of this situation as safely and as quickly as possible. It's inbuilt, it's instinctive, and it is adaptive. It is actually a healthy response to a threat. So this is important for us to think about because, as I said, there are times that we need this to be activated. When you think about your own life, these days, we don't come across many tigers. But we do need this if we come across a situation where we have to act quickly. So imagine that you're walking down the street and you're just walking down the footpath, and a bus, by a freak accident, careers off its path on the road and starts moving towards you very quickly. It's a bus and you need to do something very fast. You need your sympathetic nervous system to help you to jump out of the way. So the sympathetic nervous system will be activated, and you will quickly be get your heart rate going, get your muscles going, and you can jump out of the way of that bus. So there are times that we still need this response. However, these days we don't come across these situations very often, and a lot of the time we are just being overrun by other things that we perceive to be threats that are not really life-threatening. So we are overwhelmed by stress, we are very busy, we have time management issues, as I've talked about earlier, balancing our lives, alarm clocks going off, meetings to get to, overtime and work commitments, and all of these things are what we are now perceiving to be the saber-toothed tigers of our modern world. So we are actually still being activated into the fight-flight response by these so-called threats, and this is giving us an ongoing sympathetic nervous system response. So our heart rate is constantly being pounded by certain things going on in our day-to-day life. So our heart rate is increasing, our breathing rate is increasing, our muscles are tensing, all around situations that we perceive to be threats. And this, of course, over time has a detrimental effect on our physical body. So we start to see stress-related illnesses popping up in our lives. Heart disease is one of the biggest that starts to show up, and one of the most detrimental, I guess, in terms of the effect that it can have on our lives and the way that it can really have an impact on our physical health. So this is related to the blood pressure rising as we get stressed out. So for many people, stress increases our blood pressure. And if you suffer from high blood pressure, this can have ongoing problems for you and your physical health, and in the long term can have a big effect on heart disease. So heart disease is not just diet and lifestyle, it is also related to your stress management. Other things that can come up are skin issues like rashes, and certain skin issues that people tend to get. Fatigue as related to insomnia, which is also in the list. So if you are finding yourself having trouble sleeping, staying up at night, or having trouble getting to sleep at night because you've got things going around and around in your head, you are more likely to have insomnia and also to have fatigue. So fatigue is during the day, just not having the energy to be able to get through the day. Other issues that can come up are things like gastrointestinal issues, like irritable bowel syndrome, and any other digestive upset that's quite ongoing. This is often related to stress. Another is obesity. So obesity, or even being overweight, this goes two ways. So the fight-flight response activates cortisol levels, and this can have an effect on the amount of weight that you hold on your body. But at the same time, when you are stressed out, it's quite common for people to be reaching for snacks and not so healthy food, even alcohol, things like that, that can make it easy for you to gain weight. So stress and anxiety, it goes two ways. You can put on weight because of stress and anxiety can make you put on weight. And moving on, there's also depression and anxiety as related to stress, and headaches, migraines, memory problems. These are all kind of connected around your thought processes and the kind of stress and tension that you're holding, and if you're not getting enough sleep. And then teeth grinding is another one. So teeth grinding has a lot to do with the tension within your jaws. And if you are stressed, it is quite common to hold tension around the shoulders and neck and also around the jaw muscles. So if you're holding tension in the jaw muscles for quite a long time, it can activate the response within the body to grind the teeth. So this is something to think about if your dentist has mentioned that you have a lot of teeth grinding, and there's evidence in when you have your most recent dentist visit, or the next time you go to the dentist, maybe you can ask them, do you see any evidence of me grinding my teeth? Because you might be surprised if they say that they do. The last one in the list we've got is immunity. So your immune system is greatly affected by stress and anxiety. So managing your stress and anxiety can really help you to avoid some of those things which your body shows you when your immune system is not doing so well. So when you start to get those colds and flus and just general wearing down of the body, this is maybe a sign that you need to address your stress and anxiety levels. Other effects that come up are commonly when people are experiencing a lot of stress and anxiety, there is a tendency to avoid people and places and situations, especially ones which trigger the stress and anxiety, but even just in general, the social situation. There's a general withdrawal from people around you. So it could be from social events and from social situations like your network, but it can even just be withdrawal from your loved ones. And then in general, irritability and mood issues are quite common in people who are overwhelmed by stress and anxiety. So what I'm going to invite you to do now is make friends with stress and anxiety. And this is because we are, as I said earlier, stress and anxiety and the response that we have through the sympathetic nervous system are actually quite adaptive and helpful for us in certain situations. We do not want stress and anxiety to disappear completely, because it gives us a contrast in our lives, and we don't want our stress response through the sympathetic nervous system to disappear completely either, because this helps us to have a healthy, responsive, healthy adaptive response to stressful events. So we really do want to make friends with stress and anxiety and not treat it as an enemy, if that makes sense. So how can we understand that we do have stress in our lives, but we want to move into a state of relaxation where possible? My suggestion is for you on a daily basis to create a 3-point check-in for yourself. And these 3 points involve your mind, your breath, and your body. So starting with your breath, you can ask yourself, how is my breath? So you might just set up different points of during your day. It might be just before you go to a meeting, every time you have a meeting, every time you answer the phone, just before you eat something, or just before you have some water. Maybe you can ask yourself, how is my breath? And what you want to be checking in with is, how does the breath feel within the body? So are you taking nice, long, slow, natural breaths? Are your breaths quite tight and tense, and you can feel them up here in your chest? So just getting a sense at the beginning of how the breath feels within the body, and whether you feel as though you're straining to breathe, or if you're feeling that you're getting quite comfortable, almost satisfying breaths. Now, when we're talking about breathing, we really want to feel the belly expanding when we breathe. So if you're feeling a lot of tension around the neck and shoulders, and you're kind of breathing up here, this is really not giving you that deep, long, and relaxing breath. And actually, by taking those deeper and longer belly breaths without force and without too much strain, or without any strain if possible, you are actually activating your parasympathetic nervous system. So you're able to switch your body, when you start to do those belly breaths, you're able to switch your body into that deeper, relaxed state, just by focusing in on the breath. But like I said, You don't want to be going with a lot of strain and like, I must take a deep, long breath. Just let the breath come in naturally, but see if you can bring it into your belly area. So one way to do that is bringing your hand onto the belly and making sure that you can feel the breath moving into the body. So this is how you can check in with your breath. Another thing to look at is, are my shoulders tight? So again, like I said before, if you've got tension in the shoulder area, this is likely to be preventing you from having good, healthy breathing. So I recommend that you do some, every now and then, do some shoulder rolls, forwards and backwards, do some neck stretches, and just stretching out the shoulder and neck area when you feel that tightness, and that's going to help you to access a better breath. You can also ask yourself if you are breathing, as I said before, in your chest or in your belly. Moving on to the mind, ask yourself at certain points during the day, see if you can ask yourself if you are dwelling on something. So are you ruminating or thinking over and over and over around a particular topic? It might be something where you are focusing in on something that's going to happen in the future, or focusing in on something that happened just recently. But just ask yourself if you are spending a lot of time dwelling on a particular topic. And then the follow-up question to that is this useful? Is this a useful part of a useful use of my time, or could I be doing something different with my mental energy? So am I dwelling on something? Another question to ask yourself, what is my current stress level between 0 and 10, with 10 being the highest level of stress? What is your current stress level? And this is something you can check in during the day and ask yourself. So you might wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what is my current stress level? And you might find that it's really low. And then you check in on the way to work and what is my current stress level, and you find that it's risen up to a 6 or a 7. So it's just a matter of getting a sense of how your stress levels increase and decrease during the day, and maybe you can get a sense of the context of what's going on when your stress levels are high versus when your stress levels are low, and then connecting that in with your breath and with your body and seeing if there's any connection between these three things. Checking in with the body is really just about asking, am I holding any tension in my body? So am I holding tension? As I mentioned before, the shoulders and neck often hold tension. The jaw muscles often hold tension. And other areas to hold tension are can be the belly. A lot of people tend to hold that in quite tightly. The butt area or the upper legs area is also an area of tension. So just seeing, this could be unique for you, that you have a specific area in your body that you hold tension in. And the ones that I mentioned are the most common ones, but you might hold your body in a certain way that holds the tension. And it's just a matter of checking in and asking yourself and just becoming aware of where the tension is arising within your body. So managing stress and anxiety. How do we do that? Well, one of the key, actually I should start this by saying that for many people, a lot of these points that I'm going to be giving you are quite common and quite common sense, really. So really what I'm going to suggest to you is that we have a look over this list and think about the ones which you currently do, or ones that you would like to do, or maybe that you used to do and you're not doing anymore, and think about how you might be able to integrate these back into your lives or introduce them into your life if you haven't done them before. So one of the big ones is exercise. So exercise can get you outdoors or get you into an environment that makes you feel good and positive. It might be outdoors, or it might be in a group situation, or even at the gym if it gives you that feel good energy. And of course, when you exercise, you've got a great impact on your body in a physiological sense. Of course, you're getting the benefits of the activity itself, and then over time, perhaps getting fitter and healthier and things like that. But even just in the short term, after you have a short burst of exercise, you're going to get some of those feel-good hormones are coming through your body, and the feel-good neurotransmitters like the endorphins that start to pump through your body after you've had a good exercise routine. The other thing to help you to manage stress and anxiety is to start to introduce mindful moments into your life. So if you're not into meditation, which I'm going to talk about also, you can just consider maybe bringing yourself into the present moment by just becoming mindful of where you are and what you're doing. This is really what they call grounding yourself. So when you think about it, grounding yourself is really just about finding out where you are in space and time in that present moment. So it's really just looking at, okay, where are my feet right now? My feet are touching the ground. Where's my body? My body is sitting in this chair, and really just tuning into your senses. So feeling through touch, feeling, through touch, through the weight, through the senses of the smell and sight and sound, using the senses to help you to get a sense of where you are in space and time in that moment. So I recommend that you pepper these throughout the day. You know, sprinkle a little bit in the morning, a little bit around lunch, and a little bit in the afternoon. Maybe set an alarm if you forget, or use a cue, as I've said before. So maybe a glass of water, and you can spend a minute being mindful. So this takes practice, because your brain will start to cut in and start making you think about different things. But if you can start to practice this and focus in on becoming mindful in the present moment, just for 60 seconds or less, it will get easier over time. And this just helps to cut out that chatter in the brain and brings you into the present moment, helps you to appreciate where you are at this point in time, rather than thinking ahead or behind, into the future or into the past, trying to change things or trying to predict things that are going to happen that can't happen at that point in time. So mindful moments are really, really a great way to get centered and balanced and appreciate where you are. Getting enough sleep is also super important. So for the majority of people, between 7 and 9 hours of sleep is really what we need for optimal functioning. And trying to maintain that over time is really important. So if we're aiming for an average of 8 hours of sleep a night, and you really want to capture the time of night where your body is actually more prone to falling asleep, and that's anywhere between, so like 8 and 10:30 at night, when the most people are physiologically preparing to wind down for sleep. So sleep is going to be really, really great to help you to manage your stress and anxiety. Another one is breathing exercises. I'll just have a little drink of water. Breathing exercises help you to maintain that sense of calm. Now, I did talk about breathing exercises a little bit earlier, and I really encourage someone who hasn't done much focus on their breath to just start with the simple practice of breathing in and breathing out, and doing that without force. So we're really using the natural breath here. And as I said, all you really want to do is focus on the breath, moving into the body, into the belly, and moving out of the body and having the belly contract. So inhaling, the belly expands. Exhaling, the belly contracts. Obviously, your belly is not taking the breath in, your lungs are, but the deeper breath is able to activate the diaphragm to allow the belly to expand. So breathing in, natural soft expansion of the belly. Breathing out, contraction of the belly and releasing of the air. If you are feeling like you do that quite often and you're feeling comfortable with that, you could also introduce a longer exhale. So whatever your natural inhale is, if you can just try to add 1 or 2 beats on the exhale, that will help even more to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest response. So let's say that you inhale for a natural count of 4, and you exhale, you might just extend that out to a count of 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But you've just got to go with what's natural for you and what feels comfortable. So that's why I don't want to introduce a particular count. I would just suggest to you just to elongate the exhale a little bit more than the inhale. And like I said, this will help you to activate the parasympathetic nervous system and that rest and digest response. Another one to look at is nutrition. So I did mention this earlier. It's important when you're feeling stressed and anxious that you try to stop yourself from reaching for junk food and pay attention to what you're actually putting into your body, because this can have a big effect on your mood. So there's a lot of research around the gut-brain biome link and the way that the food that you take into your body affects your mood and the neurotransmitters that you're producing. So making sure that you have good nutrition can have a big effect on stress and anxiety levels. Also, time management. So really this is around not being a yes person for everyone. This is particularly for people who are like a yes person who finds it hard to say no. It is important that you're maintaining your balance in your life. And sometimes that means it's about learning to say no to some requests, to demands, or to people asking too much of you. So really having a good hard look at your work-life balance and whether you're getting enough exercise, if you're getting enough time with your family, all of these things that help you to feel balanced in your life. And if not, starting to practice the ability to say no where possible or where necessary. And this is really important in order for you to avoid burnout. So burnout is quite common in, especially in some industries, particular kinds of people who find it difficult to say no and who really want to keep on going and achieving, can sometimes lead to high levels of burnout. And this is obviously not something that we want to happen to anybody. So learning how to say no and practicing how to say no and just working on your time management is going to help you to manage your own stress and anxiety. Also, connection. So really connecting with people, connecting with loved ones, making sure that you are maintaining your social networks, making sure that your relationships are healthy. These things will help you to manage your stress and anxiety. And of course, if you are feeling stressed and anxious, reaching out and talking to people who can help you just to move through those times, those more difficult times, is very, very important. Finally, a big suggestion is to get help if needed. So sometimes all of the points above are just not working enough to help you to manage your stress and anxiety. And it's really important at that point that you recognize that maybe things is just getting a little bit out of control, and then seeking some extra professional help. So when you're seeking help, one of the first places you can go to is your GP and having a chat to your GP. You can also contact some of the free organizations that are listed below if you're having a hard time. So Beyond Blue, Lifeline, and the Black Dog Institute, which is a website that you can access, can provide you with information, resources, and support that might help you to manage your stress and anxiety levels if you feel that things are getting a little bit out of control. Finally, just a short word on meditation, as I said earlier. So you look for mindful moments within your daily life, and if possible, consider a meditation practice. This doesn't have to be something that is going to take up a lot of your time. It might just take a couple of minutes a day where you stop, pause, and spend some time in meditation. And there's plenty of research around the benefits of meditation these days and how it can help people with stress and anxiety. So knowing how to meditate or having a good meditation practice can help you to calm yourself when things are getting stressful. It also helps you to observe the thought patterns. So as I spoke about earlier, we tend to have this chatter, this kind of ongoing rumination in our minds when we're stressed and anxious. And meditation will help you to start to recognize some of those thought patterns, also help you to become more self-aware and intuitive, and build and improve your relationships and connections with other people by helping you with that self-awareness. So if your self-awareness is growing, it can help you with interactions with others. And physiologically, meditation has been proven to reduce blood pressure and improve immunity, improve sleep, and reduce anxiety and stress. So all of these have been shown now by good research to have positive effects through meditation practice. It's specifically mindfulness meditation practice. Some of the other types of meditation have also been studied, but mindfulness meditation has definitely had the most research behind it and has shown the most positive outcomes so far. So I invite you now to take the challenge. So I would like to ask you to think about whether you can fit in just 5 minutes of your day to do one of the following 3 things. Could you spend 5 minutes meditating? And if you don't know how to meditate, you can just close your eyes and breathe in and out for 5 minutes. You could practice calm breathing for 5 minutes. So as I said before, put your hands on your belly and just feel the belly expanding and contracting with your natural breath. Or 5 minutes of quick exercises, maybe some burpees or some push-ups or pull-ups or sit-ups or walking up and down the stairs for 5 minutes. So do you, as your challenge, do you feel that you can find 5 minutes of your day to do one of those 3 things? And if you do think you can do it, please put it in your schedule right now. Open up your phone, put a little alarm for tomorrow and put it into your schedule for you to do one of these 3 practices. Or if you've got 15 minutes, you could do all 3 of them at once. Now, if you do have any questions for me, please feel free to email me at hellosunrisewell@gmail.com, or you can contact me on sunrisewell.com.au, or you can also reach out to the Pinnacle Health Group team if you have any further questions on this topic. And I would like to say thank you for joining me for this short workshop, and I really appreciate your time. I hope that this has been of some benefit for you, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you, and goodbye.